So, you're at your base, and you have a problem. You need to get to Nemeth. The problem is that you only have warp cells that are less than ideal. 23%, 28%, 13%. So how do you get to Nemeth from Bethar when you only have such small amount of warp cells? Well, let me show you, and it's pretty easy. First of all, if you're going to do this, you're going to need a lot of used warp cells to accomplish this task. Let's select Nemeth. We'll add a custom orbit. We'll warp to that location there. Warp 3. And you'll see right here, our warp cell is only 11%. And when I try to make the jump, it tells me there's insufficient fuel in the warp cells. So how am I going to get to Nemeth? Notice this straight line. Okay? What you're going to want to do is try to follow that straight line. Add a custom orbit to the sun. Okay? So here's our jump point right here. We'll see if we can jump there. Can we do it? Insufficient warp fuel. So let's bring our periapsin a little closer. And bring our jump point closer. Can we warp to this location? It's a trial and error thing. Bring our apoaps up. Can we warp to there? Still, oh, there we go. We can make it just barely. If you see, I'm rolling this up one, up another, and then that's too much. So we only have a 20-second window to make this warp. So what we can do is just go a little bit closer to use up as much fuel as we can. And there we go. Well, we might even be able to go farther. Let's move that in closer. Try that. There we go. We have a 10-second window, and that will use up pretty much every little ounce of fuel in that warp core. So we'll begin our maneuver, and we'll jump there. 27 seconds. And I'll fast forward time a little bit, and we'll be on our way. Okay, we are arriving at our first jump point, and that was using an 11% warp core. So let's check our map. We've arrived. And right now, if I go to my ship, we are floating in space, in between the orbits of Iredell and Bethar. And again, we're trying to follow that straight line to Nemeth. So, we're going to go to the back. Let me grab all these warp cells. And the reason I'm grabbing them is because I want to use up the small amount first. So see, that one was 11%. It's now at 11 or at 0%. So we can recycle that. So we're going to select the next smallest one. 20 is what I've seen. 17, 20. Okay, there's 17. Now we're going to do the same thing. Going to select the orbit. I'm going to move it over. Remember to stay in that straight line. And that should be about right there. Let's see, can we do it? Yes, we can. Can we go further? Warp there. So we're gonna... Ooh, okay, here we only have a 30-second window. So let's see if we can shorten that window up a little more by taking this out further. Warp there. There we go. We have a 10-second window. Perfect. Initialize. And we are happily on our way to Nemeth. It's slow. It's tedious. But it works. Especially if you don't have full warp cells. That's why it's important you keep, as I've stated in every video almost, keep everything you find. Everything has value. So we're going to make our next jump in less than 10 seconds, and then we will fast forward and get to the next location. Okay, we've arrived at our second jump point. And where are we? We are right there. So now we're going to do the same thing. Let's go to the back. Let's see that warp cell. Where did that go? There it is. 1% left in that one. Pretty much useless. So we're going to throw that one down, and let's find the next lowest one. Always start with the low ones and work your way up. That way your last one may just be big enough to jump you straight home, or at least close enough. So we'll set up another warp. Our jump point will be, where's our ship? Our ship is right in this location, which I don't know why it's not showing up. But we're going to try to jump a little further. Right there. And we can make it there, no problem. Let's see if we could go even further. Warp 3. And a 30-second window. Let's see if we could bring it further. Push it out a little more. And a 20-second window there. Let's push it out even further. Okay, there's a 10-second window. So we'll initialize. We're already lined up. And again, we'll see you when we arrive at the third jump point. Whoops. Okay, you see that server will restart in 1 minute. Avoid jumping at all costs. Wait till the server restarts. Do not be in mid-jump during a server restart. Otherwise, you could be in a parabolic or hyperbolic orbit, and with the starapies, it could be very difficult, if not impossible, to recover from. So when you see a server will restart message, just wait until it restarts, and we'll be back after the restart. Okay, we are now back from the server restart, and as you can see, we're still at the same location. We have a nice clean orbit around Hellion, but the problem is now is that we have to reform the orbit. So let's get to work here. And this doesn't have to be perfect, just close enough in a straight line, always the most efficient way. So again, set up a warp. I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Yep, okay, there's our 10-second window where it says ready, and that's when we're going to jump. So 44 seconds to jump, and we'll be back as soon as we land at our third jump location. Okay, we are just now arriving at our third location, and the one thing you can do, don't feel like you have to be afraid doing this, but you can pull the warp cell out while the ship is in mid-warp. 2%. So just set that there. And switch over to the next one so you're already prepared. So we have a 20%, so we're going to go with the next lowest one. And let's see if we make an orbit around Nemeth. Now you could see that blue circle. That's the gravity well for Nemeth. So we're going to take this orbit we're creating right out to the edge. Not right to the edge, but bring it in slightly and see if we could jump right there. Warp 3, and we can do it. And with this, I don't care if I have a little bit of extra left over. We're going to bring this in close. Warp 2. There's not going to be a big change here, so we're just going to bring this right up to the planet. Bring this apoapsis down. And bring the periapsis out a little so we don't end up with that debris field. We're going to jump there. Warp. And we still have a 30-second window, which is fine. So we're going to bring this as low as possible. So we have a little bit of fuel left over. Initialize. Oh, speed too low. I'm going to have to go up a little more. There we go. That's why. It's because we're moving. It must have changed. So now we're going to end up right next to the planet. And that, my friends, is how you use up multiple warp cores that are not 100%. Oh, here, let me show you what I was talking about. We're in mid-warp, as you can see. You can always pull out your warp cell. It won't hurt anything. The last thing you want to do is shut off the ship. If you shut off the ship, you're in big trouble. So don't turn the power off, whatever you do. That's 2% left in there. I'm just going to call that garbage. 222s, 223s, put a 22 in there. And technically, the rest of what I have in my pocket should get us home. And if not, well, I always have some spares. But I prefer to use up small ones over big ones. That way you've always got one big one to get you home. And a little advice, when you are doing these types of maneuvers using small warp cores, avoid at all costs jumping to Aya. You may live through it, you may not. And the reason I say this is because out here there's no sun. And say you have a 20% warp cell and you're doing a couple jumps around here, you use it up, and then you start home. Okay, you're going to use your 11% first, though in this case I would go with something bigger because you need to get into an area where there is sunlight, like somewhere out here, and that's quite a big jump. But if you get stuck here and you stop here, you may run out of electricity. And if you run out of electricity, it won't matter what size warp core you have, you will be stuck and you will have to restart. So whenever you're doing these small jumps going from destination to destination, try to avoid Aya. I know it may be tempting and you actually may get away with it with experience. You'll have better luck, but if you're new to Hellion, avoid Aya. It's not worth it. So we're almost to Neath now, so there you go. That's how you do it. Remove that orbit, and we are approaching in 1 minute, just over 1 minute. See you in a bit. And we have arrived. And there it is, right in front of us. Nemeth. We're on the dark side, so we are losing power, but that's not a big concern right now. The key is that we made it and we are safe. So let's do a scan. Let's bring it up close, my ship. And there's our orbit around Nemeth. And scan away. And already we found some goodies. So anyway, I'm going to hang out here for a while and I will talk to you later. hope this video helps, and see you in Hellion. Take care. Oh, and one thing that I did forget to mention, now that we've arrived at Nemoth here, and here's our orbit. Anytime you arrive at a new planet, anytime you arrive at your station, anytime you switch ships, anytime you meet up with a person, if two of you are meeting a third person, relog. Relog constantly. It helps to sync you up with the server and with anything that's in your local vicinity or in your instance, as they say. So by doing that, it will just make your gameplay a lot better. And I know it can be a pain, but trust me, you know, it helps. It helps a lot. I still have my problems, but they're far and few between. So relog, relog, relog. So yeah, that's it. My words of wisdom are over, and I'll see you in Hellion. See ya.